Good morning, everybody. We're at the Walter Gerlach Show this morning, and it is the second day of the GOAT Show. It started on Friday with Ag Mechanics. Pandemic has made it a little bit different because we've had to stretch the show out. I am pleased to say that I am getting to visit with Miss Victoria Weynand today. She is a senior. She is a member of the Helotes LSP.
Yes, I'm actually the president of the Concierge.
See, I've already been corrected by the Madam President, and rightfully so. Victoria is going to visit with us today about what it means to be a part of 4-H. So, Victoria, and also if you've seen some of the videos from this week, you're going to recognize her because in the Lamb Show, Victoria had a little bit of success, and we're going to talk about that. And she's now back here in the GOAT Show, and she's hoping to be able to make the same success as she had on Saturday. And since I've teased them with it, Victoria, tell me, what kind of success did you have?
I got Grand Champion Lamb for the Open Division, and I also got the Reserve Champion for the Commercial Division.
So let's talk about that too, because what they need to understand is that there are two divisions at the Walter Gerlach Show. There's the Commercial Show and the Open Show. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Commercial Show, the show organizers go out to a ranch and they purchase a large group of animals from one particular rancher.
Yes.
They bring them in. The exhibitors are draw, and that's what they use to select their animal. They select their animal, they raise it, they show it. Open means that the individual exhibitor will travel around the country or go to an auction and they purchase their animal. So is there an advantage, a little advantage, between open and commercial?
I would say for Open, you definitely have a better chance of winning the actual show because they do put a lot more money into that and a lot more just time to pick out your animals, so you get to really pick apart your animal and see exactly which features you want. However, for the commercial, because it's a chance and you don't really get to choose, there are more that get to place. So it's a really good opportunity for those that aren't really as advanced and knowledgeable about the things, just as a learning experience.
Absolutely. It gets them started. In fact, you got started with rabbits, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Back in the 3rd grade.
Talk to me a little bit about rabbits.
So rabbits, obviously there's no kids walking around rabbits around the pen, but you get 4 rabbits at the beginning and they're really, really small, so it's really hard not to get attached. And what you do is you want to go get those to like the ideal weight, and really for showing you just put them in a pen and the judge takes them away. But to really add the learning aspect of rabbits, they have a showmanship that's more as knowledge-based rather than actual performance as the other animals.
And when we talk about knowledge-based, you have to take a test in that one, don't you?
Yes, you have a full book that's about this thick, and you have to know pretty much every single thing in that book, from how many eyelids they have, how many breeds, pretty much every single thing there is to know about rabbits.
So you started off tough, but you got to learn, and I think, would you say that that's a good foundation for where you are now? Because you've had to learn about your animal, you've had to evaluate its pedigree, its ability to grow and to weigh, and so you've taken that knowledge and moved up the ladder, so to speak.
Yes,
now
sir.
You're with sheep and goats. Had a great show on Saturday, but you also showed at Bexar County. How did that go?
It went pretty good. I made it to the auction. I actually got 2nd place with one of my lambs, but the other one I didn't do too well. And then with my goats, I believe I got like about 6th place, so not as good as I hoped, but I was very grateful for what I did.
So I'm going to ask, which is easier, sheep or goats?
I have to say sheep is easier because they have a natural drive to just follow. However, goats, they can be very stubborn. There's some screaming, rolling on the floor.
Kind of like a 3-year-old.
Yes.
So you talk about them following, you talk about easy or hard, but you spend a lot of time with these animals, don't you?
Yes, sir.
When did you get your first animal this year?
This year I got them in July, the very end of July.
So you had your animal for almost 8 months, I guess, and
Yes.
you will have them longer because you're going to be showing. So do I go out to the barn for about 5 minutes and put some feed out?
No, sir. For me, just feeding is about 20 minutes. Just feeding and doing their waters.
And then I can't just get by with feed.
No, sir. That's the bare minimum.
So the first thing I have to do is bond with my animal, and then I have to halter break it. How long does it take to halter break a sheep or a goat?
For me, it was about a week, but also I've been doing this for a very long time, and it's really just persistence.
So if you could give those at home a tip, a hack, what would be a hack for halter breaking your animal?
Definitely just before you even try and move them and walk them, just put their halter on, tie it up, and just let them stand there. Let them get used to just having it on.
But it's kind of like a parent. You have to be a little hard in that case because they're not going to enjoy the process.
No.
But both of you kind of have to struggle through for the end product. So you halter break, you bond, but now you have to start exercising because like an athlete, they've got to develop their muscles and you can't feed them spinach to make it happen. So what do you do?
So we do a wide variety from walking, running, and then we also have this treadmill that my dad built.
Do you have any pictures of your dad modeling this treadmill before it starts?
No, my dad does not spend a lot of time on the treadmill.
You know, Don, that would have made a great picture for us, but let's talk about that treadmill. So, I'm assuming everybody's familiar with the treadmill in a gym, and
Yes.
that's the kind of treadmill we're talking about,
So
right?
it's basically a regular treadmill that we got from Craigslist, and then we put two wooden things on the side and then a plank in the front. So we're able to put their front legs on it, and then their back legs move backwards. They're really able to activate muscles that they usually wouldn't when they're just running around their pen.
So, do goats get angry when you start exercising them?
Yes, and they are very vocal about it as well.
So they're just like everybody else, even the high-paid athletes. Sometimes they just don't want to do their workout, but they
Yes.
know that they have to do it to make it successful. So you've been involved with 4-H since you're a third grader. You're a senior now.
Yes, sir.
Why did you choose to become part of 4-H?
Well, my brother had already become part of it, and my dad actually showed animals growing up. But I really just saw that the people that were in there, and a lot of the young ladies in there, they really just, they knew how to carry themselves, they knew how to present themselves, they could speak fluently to pretty much anyone, and I just really wanted to be someone like that.
Victoria, I think it would be safe to say that between exercising, grooming, feeding, and taking care of your animals, you're probably spending 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yes, especially close up to the show. It's not as bad during the beginning because it's just halter breaking, really getting the animal used to, because you don't want to push it all on them because then they'll really burn out.
But as you mentioned, it's twice a day feeding.
Yes.
It's hours. I bet it makes it hard for friends that want to go to the mall or friends that want to go to a movie or something. You have
Yes.
to make those choices, don't you? But not to mention that, you also are a senior, so you've got your classwork, schoolwork. You've got your animals, but you're also a member and actually in charge of your 4-H chapter. How do you do it?
Really, if you ask anyone in the 4-H or the FFA, the number one lesson that they're going to say that this, just everything they do is taught them, it's going to be time management. And it's a lot of early mornings, late nights, and just not spending a lot of time slacking off. When you're there to work, you're really there to work.
Well, and let's talk about early mornings and late nights. We'll take Saturday as a perfect example. Lambs started moving in very early in the
Well,
day.
actually, this year we started moving in at 2. So
Okay.
it was very different this year. But we were still up because we still had hawks to wash, lambs to finish clipping, all that.
First of all, class 1 heavyweight commercial notes. First of all,
So then you get up early, and of course this morning was a 4 a.m. wake-up call or somewhere close to
we'll be
it.
starting at about 5
You
minutes.
start showing, and in San Antonio, you could be showing even up until late in the evening. But then you have to remember that you have to go home and still take care of the animals that are at home.
Yes.
So, do you ever miss it, or do you ever wish that you hadn't done it?
I gotta say, everyone, pretty much in anything, they have doubts. There's times that I'll go out there and I just will not want to do anything, but I really just have to figure out, like, the end goal and all the things that I've been involved in. They really helped me get to where I am today and where I'm going to be able to go.
So a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, not just for the project animals, but also for being a leader inside your squad. What's one of your greatest memories?
Probably when I got second at San Antonio, just because that goat, we really bonded that year. His name was Clifford. And not only that year did I just show by myself, I actually made a lot of friends that year because it was my first year really going to the majors and being competitive about it. So
And what's your saddest?
definitely having to get rid of my second goat that I ever got. His name was Chester, and it was it was a long week.
And let's talk about that, because you've had your project animal for 8 months and longer. You bond with it. You create that bond. There obviously is an attachment. Does it get easier each year for that attachment to go away?
Yes, it definitely gets easier. In the beginning, I would cry really hard. Now, I gotta say, sometimes I'm pretty happy to see him leave.
If you're outside, we're going to be starting in about 10 minutes. If you'd like to come in and get a seat, please make your way to the showroom.
But I'd like to know that
Second call, first class heavyweight, commercial goats.
I really help my animal fulfill its purpose to the best of its abilities, and me showing it and putting all the feed I do in it, it has a lot more muscle and a lot more mass than it would if it was a feedlot, so it's really fulfilling its potential.
So you fulfill its potential, you treat it with dignity, but I think it also teaches us in life, things start, things end.
Yes, you definitely have to have a lot of respect for your animal, and for me, it was good to start having a respectful relationship with my animal instead of like a pet relationship.
So you're certainly learning some lessons that even adults don't learn until late in life.
Yes.
What would you tell somebody that's thinking, do they want to do 4-H or they want to do FFA? Should I?
I would definitely say to do it, and definitely just know that it's going to be a lot of hard work, and if you don't have the ability to do the hard work, it will teach you. It will teach it to you.
Wonderful. Well, Victoria, what are you hoping to accomplish today in the goat show?
Today I'm really hoping to do as good as I can do.
Any prediction of how you think it might go?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
And I think it's important. I know that it's almost like I put you in the hot seat, but let's talk about for just a second. This is a very subjective business. As you mentioned, you had a lamb at Bear County that did not do as well as you had hoped, but had better success with that lamb here at Walter Gerlach,
yes,
right?
I was definitely able to take the judges' criticisms and put that into my feed and workout regimen, and actually allow him to do a lot better this year.
So you make adjustments. You have to know to make adjustments, but we also have to remember that judges themselves, a judge might like a wider top or a wider loin on a lamb. The next judge might not want as compact, might not want as wide on top, but looking more. So
yes. Well, the saying that a lot of people say, it's just one man's opinion on one day.
And I think that that's something that everybody needs to understand, that 4-H also does a good job of helping you prepare for disappointments, does it not?
Yes, I definitely had my fair share of success.
Last call, class 1, commercial goats, heavyweight. That's it.
Victoria, thank you for sitting down and visiting with us, and we wish you the best of luck today. I hope you're able to repeat what you did on Saturday, and we look forward to seeing you the rest of the show, and good luck in San Antonio.
Councilor Pam Block, thank them for being here today. We also want to recognize the folks that have donated the belt buckles for the kids. The Grand Champion Goat belt buckle is donated by Tim and Christy Luton. The Reserve Grand Buckle is donated by Mike and Debbie White. Senior Showmanship, Ernie and Debbie Winnie. And Junior Showmanship, the grass is greener, Mike and Nikki Brown. Thank them very much for their donations to our stock show. As we go through the day, we want to make sure that after you have shown that you get up with Bob Strickland or Mr. Hawkins, and they'll direct you to the location to deposit your goat, so we can get those things hauled later on in the day. It's also your responsibility to get up with your 4-H leader, your ag teacher, to identify the animal that you plan on selling. That's the responsibility of the student, so make sure that you take care of that responsibility. It's very, very important. Our goat show will be starting in just a few moments. We feel like we'll be finished here rather quickly today. As we finish up the open show and pick the overall grand champion, then we'll have our showmanship, and after showmanship we'll be loading out the rest of the goats headed to the stockyards, and then later on today we'll be bringing in some pigs. Wednesday, 4 o'clock, is our ceremony to recognize all champions, grand champion, reserve grand champion, showmanship winners. So make sure that you're back here if you win one of those. You're certainly welcome to bring your family members with you to watch that ceremony. Everything will be live cast. All of you that are at home today, make sure that you're taking care of business and getting all of your information into us, as I know some of you are out and have some substitute showers, so make sure you contact your ag teacher or your 4-H leader. Then on Thursday, we're going to be cleaning up. We're going to need lots of help, so if you're available, please contact Mr. Hawkins. All you goat folks, contact him, let him know that you could be here on Thursday and Friday and help us get this place cleared out so we can have a good auction on Saturday. Our online auction will start Thursday. Those of you that aren't comfortable with coming to the live, you can start that at 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, and all of that should be in line, and we'll take, I think through Friday night, 9 o'clock, we'll be taking bids. So we're very excited, very happy to be able to have this stock show. As you all know, that it was a difficult task, and I want to thank all the folks that were involved, especially our stock show directors, for all the good work they did to get this thing put together. Let's have a goat show. Thank you.
This is your first class heavyweight commercial goats. We'll be placing 12 in this class.
And we are underway with the Walter Gerlach Livestock Show and Sale this morning. This is the first class of the market goats.
Returning from yesterday, our goat show judge this year is Mr. Mike Wallace. Mike has been an ag teacher for the past 20 years. He currently teaches at the Laredo, Texas high school. Mike and his family raise boar goats, specializing in breeding market goats for show. Mike is a graduate of Texas A&M University.
And if you're watching, you can notice that the judge is starting to make his beginning selections. One of the things that we want to remind everybody is these are meat goats. They are being raised for the meat market. And so he's going to be evaluating the overall carcass quality of the animals. He's looking at the muscle structure, the bone structure, how well they move. The reason why all of that is important is because now the heavyweights, they are almost at their optimum weight. They're almost at their 12 o'clock stage of life. But for those that will be going back into feeding facilities, those that are going to be held a little bit longer, they want to make sure that they can move freely, move so that they can make it to the feeding troughs and continue. So movability or mobility is going to be important, but also the bone structure and the muscle structure. Does the animal have more potential to finish out, or is it completely finished? He's also going to be evaluating the cover, and when we talk about cover, that is going to be the actual, the best way to put it is the fat content that the animal, or the body fat that the animal is carrying. You certainly, and that's one of the things, stock shows used to be called the fat stock show because it was the fat animals. They were fed to be heavier, they were fed to have a little bit more mass than animals that would normally be going into the market realm. But consumers have changed. Consumers have become more health conscious, and so too the industry has made changes in the way that animals are finished out. And so the judge is going to be evaluating that, and you can see he is actually doing a physical examination of the animal. He's putting his hands on him, he's evaluating muscle tone, he's evaluating the body fat and the overall structure. And so, as you heard from Victoria earlier this morning, these exhibitors have spent hours working with their animal. Just like an athlete, these animals are put into an exercise regimen where they can truly meet their fullest potential. And that is thanks to their exhibitor, thanks to their owner. So it is a relationship, it is a bond, and these exhibitors have been working very, very hard. And hopefully they're hoping that it will pay off today.
First call for Class 2, heavyweight commercial goats. First call.
The Walter Gerlach Livestock Show and Sale would not be possible without a lot of volunteers and directors that make up the show. Most people don't understand or realize that most of the show, all of the show, staff and personnel are volunteers. It's adults that take time away from their job, take time away from their daily lives to dedicate making sure that the barn is ready, making sure that the pens are clean and set up, making sure that the show ring, and this year it's been even more difficult because of the pandemic. They've had to really sit down, discuss ways to make sure that it's a safe event for everybody, that they can maintain social distancing and other protocols. So a lot of time and man hours have been put into making this event possible, but they couldn't do it without very generous sponsors from our community. We'd like to thank Window World, America's exterior remodeler, windows, sidings, doors, and more for their generous sponsorship to the Walter Gerlach Stock Show. And you can reach them by calling 210-767-0995 or check them out on the web at www.windowworldtx.com. And let Mr. Bamba know, hey, thank you for supporting the youth. Thank you for supporting future leaders of America. Call them up if you're needing some remodeling, if you're needing some windows. They will be sure to help you out. And also a generous sponsor every year. Not only do they sponsor the show, but they come out as a livestock buyer and help out a lot of these 4-H and FFA exhibitors. And that's HEB, your local grocery store. HEB sponsoring the 48th annual Walter Gerlach Show and Sale. Thank you, HEB, for your generous sponsorship. And then also, not to mention, we have Lock Hill Feed, Pet, and Lawn Supply. This is their 41st, they're celebrating their 41st anniversary. And Lock Hill Feed and Pet Supply, we want to thank you for your generosity and making sure that this will happen.
Class 2 heavyweight commercial goats. Second call.
And also Seiko Electric. Thank you, Seiko Electric, for making sure that you and your generosity for making sure that this show happens. If you're needing some electrical work, reach out to Seiko Electric. Thank you for all of the generous sponsors this year for the Walter Gerlach Show. There'll be more, and we will talk about them as the show continues.
Last call for Class 2 heavyweight commercial goats.
And final selections have been made in Class 1 heavyweights. You can see the top 4 are lined up in the middle of the arena. And in just a few moments, we will actually have the opportunity for the judge to speak and talk about what factors influenced his decision today. And here we go.
Really a nice class to get us started with here in our heavyweight drive. Let's give all the kids here on my left a big round of applause. They did a fantastic job. We're going to go ahead and let you guys go back to the tents if you're ready to do that. Thank you very much. You can head out. Really a nice job, and then I'll talk a little bit more about these 4 here. Just as we get started, just like you said, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm actually an ag teacher over in Laverne, so not too far from here, and I absolutely love seeing your kids out here doing their best and showing their hearts out. Really, it's an honor for me to get the chance to be here in this barn full of tradition and be a part of your stock show. So, and as we get going along, I guess as we excuse those guys, I said this yesterday as we were finishing up. I wanted to try to say a little earlier today, maybe. Try not to base, your experience today maybe on what I did or how I placed you. I know that some kids are going to win first and some are going to be way down the line. But base it more on how you did and what you got out of this. And I'm so proud of you for being here. And I hope that just the fact that one guy's opinion today put you down a little farther doesn't disrupt how you've done. Because I'm real proud of you and I think you've done a real good job. I thought these 4 goats lined up real nice. Did we have one that came in that just jumped out there in terms of being ultra powerful and expressive like maybe a couple of the ones yesterday? I don't necessarily think we did, but I think this is a real nice set. I think the young ladies go to my right where I like him best when we set him into motion. You get him going, and he really squares up from the ground up. He's really pretty sound on those feet and legs, and he's really good right there through that foregrip, all the way back to the center of his body, and it really looks nice. He looks nice when the young lady gets him set as well. I just like him best when he's in motion and when he's moving. That's why I had him go one more time there just to make sure I was comfortable with what we were doing. If you're just going to take a picture of one and get out beside him, the young lady in second, here's one that really levels up when she gets him set. He's got more expression through that rear cycle. When she gets him set, he looks really good, big out on his corners. We set him into motion. He's not quite as wide from the ground up. He's not as opened up in his foregrip. He wants to get a little flatter right from behind as he tracks away from you compared to our class winner. Young man's go to third here. He's had a little bit more trouble. He's not quite as experienced in showmanship as maybe the young ladies right around him, but he's got a nice goat. He's got a goat that's just chock full of muscle. Boy, you get your hands on him, he's thick all the way from the top of the shoulder, all the way back through that loin and that rump, down in that lower leg. I wish he was a little firmer to the touch. He gets a little softer maybe compared to their goats. But you get him out on the move, and I think he's big, he's rugged, he's heavy muscle, and I think he's got to be here in this top end somewhere. It's just a matter of where you put him, and I chose to put him third today. Good job to him. Young ladies go to third really grew on me. I didn't have her so high there, or fourth there early on, and the more we went, probably the better she did in terms of showing him to me and getting him set. He looks really good from the side as well, really level through his top line, just not quite as thick in that lower third of his body, and again, maybe doesn't handle quite as fresh and good to the touch as those up on the top end. A real nice set of goats. Let's give all the kids in this class a big round of applause.
Thank you, Judge Wallace. Placings for Class 1 heavyweight commercial goats. First place, Renee McLean. Second place,
Ava Stagner. Third place, Israel Schlanger. Fourth place, Natalie Taylor. Fifth place, Jaime Grenada. Sixth place is William McLean. Seventh place, Scarlett Stagner. Eighth place, Emma Hagelin. Ninth place, Isabel Gonzalez. 10th place, Abigail Forrest. 11th place, Bianca Scott Shaney. 12th place, Holly Carpenter. And that's all we're placing as well. Attention exhibitors, be sure you do not leave before you have disposition with Mr. Strickland at the end of the show. You'll be placing your lambs in certain pins at the top of the lamb barn. So make sure you don't leave before you take your lamb and take your goat. Anyway, make sure you don't leave before you contact Mr. Strickland. First call for the heavyweight class, third class of heavyweights. First call, please. We'll be placing 12 in this class. Second call for Class 3 heavyweight commercial goats. Class 3 heavyweight goats, let's bring them up. Last call for Class 3 heavyweight commercial goats. Last call.
Well, another real nice class as we get into these, this second class, the heavyweights. I think I took a little longer there. I meant to mention that earlier too. Sometimes I go a little fast, sometimes they go slow. Some of these kids were having a little bit more trouble with their goat, so for one, I tried to kind of give it a little time, which may have made things worse, I realized. But I'm trying to judge the goats today. Does it matter how the young person shows it? Certainly it does, and I want them to do their best. And I would love to see their goat work for them. But I'm really judging the goat and how the goat looks on his feet and his legs in terms of beef muscle. So that's where we're at today. Let's give all these kids on the wall here a big round of applause. Good job. We're going to talk just a second about these four. And again, I don't know that there was just a goat that jumped out at me in this class either, much like the last one that put all the pieces together. But I think all these are nice. I think the young people have done a good job with them. I think they all kind of different conditions. The young lady's goat on my right, she's going to be our class winner. And she's one that, again, when we set him in motion, we walk him, he's really stylish, he's really attractive on the move, and he's really opened up there, again, through the center of his body. I think he kind of combines that look and power to the best of this class, in my opinion, and that's what puts him right there on the top end. Young ladies in second, here's one that's flicked a little tighter, so if he looks different or he looks off to you, he doesn't have quite as much air. She's used a blade that gets him a little tighter, which is fine. It makes him look a little different, and so he does have a little different look about him. When you study him again on the move, he's the most opened up. He's the biggest ended goat in the class. He's the goat when you get your hands on him. Handles really good over the top of his skeleton. He just gets a little piecey. I wish he was blended together a little better. I wish he was more stylish and attractive on the move like our class winner. But he's a little bigger this time. He's really big out of his pin set. Has a lot of shape. Well, you love him when he's walking away from you. Young man in blue here. Let's give him a round of applause. He's done a great job today. He hung in there. He was having a tough time when we first came in, and that little goat, you know, he's thick. He's real powerful over the top of his skeleton, really thick-ended. You like that about him. I want to change his goat up is I wish he was a little bigger bone. I wish he was a little stouter featured. I wish he had a little better attitude for the young man too, but I really didn't put that in there anywhere. But I like his muscle, I like his shape. Structurally though, I want to give him bigger bone work. I want to open him up from the ground up and make him a little bit better structure there. Young man in fourth, here's one that he's really well presented. The young man does a great job of planting him, putting him on all fours, really getting him set up for me. You know, and so again, if we're just going to take a picture of one, we're going to really see who does the best in terms of presenting them. You know, we can move him up, we can talk about that. I just think when we watch his goat go, he's not as opened up to his rib shape. He wants to get a little more restricted there in his forearm. He's not as big out of his skin set. He wants to taper off there, which just gives him more or less muscle from end to end. Real nice set though. Let's go all four of these kids and all the kids out there.
Thank you, Judge Wallace. Placings in this class: first place, Madeline Pessick; second place, Gabriella Orozco; third place, Cody Bannis; fourth place, Caden Truss; fifth place, Dara Manning; sixth place, Braden Henning; seventh place, Skylar Bynum; eighth place, Luke Estrada; ninth place, Haley Hibbett; 10th place, William Rogalinski; 11th place, Olivia Vaughn; and 12th place, Kylie Kent.
Were you smiling?
Aubrey, there's Aubrey. Doing good. I know, we were in the house. I was
And to bring up first and second places in the lightweight division. First place lightweight. First place in the lightweight division is Lillian Stagner. Second place, Haley Henning. In the medium weight, Lene McLean. Okay, the medium weight is Lene McLean. Second place is Anais Galvano.
You just went back there.
You need a name.
I'm just saying, no.
No. Yeah.
I guess I will eventually. I'm not saying this minute.
That will.
No, no. Madison Curry.
That's up to them, but I need to know who it is.
Okay, we'll get you something here just in a minute.
Yes, but we still got to go for the champion try for this one, right? So, yes, Reagan.
Okay, I see.
What do I need to do?
Go to the office and get the form to me.
We're currently in the second class, or class 3, excuse me, we're at class 3 of the heavyweights. This will be the last class of commercial goats. What will happen at the conclusion of this class is that they will bring in all of the class winners for commercial goats, and they will name the grand champion goat up, or grand champion commercial goat of the show. And we've been talking with different exhibitors throughout the week, and they all talk about the long hours that they spend working with their animal. And we have to remember that this is the start of agribusiness. A lot of these students will not pursue a career as far as rancher or going out and raising animals on a full scale, but many of them will be involved in agribusiness, whether it's working with in-school districts as an ag teacher or working in different types of businesses that are out there that focus on animal health, the animal industry, or creating new products to help farmers and ranchers across the country continue to feed America. So they're learning the aspect of business, and one of the things that happens with business is the payday. And next Saturday is going to be the payday, or I should say this coming Saturday will be the payday for many of these exhibitors, and that is the auction. You've heard them make announcements as to how many are going to place into the sale. For instance, in this class, they're placing 12 individuals will get to be able to sell their animal, and it will go up for public auction, or the animal won't, but it's a premium sale, but they'll have the opportunity to participate in a public auction, and that's where you are important. It's where you get to make a difference. They're going to start it this year because of the pandemic. They're going to have an online auction that starts Thursday, and it will close out early Saturday morning, and then the live auction will happen out here at the Gerlach Barns on Saturday. If you go to the WGLS.org website, you can find registration information and registration materials to be a buyer. You will also find the buyer's packet, and that is the same location, www.wgls.org, that you can go and bid online on these animals or in the premium sale. And it's important that you do that because that is their payday, and these exhibitors will use the money that they raise from the auction to invest in next year's project, or if they're a senior, they're going to be using it for their college and post-high school careers. So please, if you have the opportunity, pay off these hardworking kids, go to WGLS.org and participate in the online auction. And speaking of people that have helped make this show possible, it wouldn't happen without the generous sponsors every year that provide help and sponsorship for the Walter Gerlach Stock Show. And that is San Antonio Coffee Concierge. It's veteran-owned and operated. Experience with standards of excellence to serve you 24 hours a day. If you're in need of coffees, call them. and they specialize in all types of printing and copying material. You can reach them by calling 210-223-2679. Give them a call. They're open from 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, and they're located at 2015 McCullough Avenue in San Antonio. And of course, that's San Antonio Copy Concierge. Go by and see them and say thank you for supporting the WGLS. Also sponsoring the livestock show this year is MG Building Materials. They've been supporting youth since 1972. We're here for all your building needs, including lumber, roofing materials, lawn and garden, plywood, hardware, doors and windows, electrical supplies, light fixtures, paneling, tools, and paint. They have wholesale and retail. That's MG Building Materials. They have numerous locations. They're located in San Antonio, Pleasanton, Corpus Christi, Kerrville, Uvalde. They're serving San Antonio and South Texas. MG Building Materials. Stop in and say thank you for supporting the Walter Gerlach Show, and you can reach them at, or find them on the web at www.mgbuildingmaterials.com. Also, we'd like to give a shout out to All City Real Estate. They are a sponsor and help sponsor the Walter Gerlach Show this year, and you can call or text them today at 210-719-5944. That's 210-719-5944. No job is too big or too small for those at All City Real Estate. Villarreal's Ice House has also sponsored this year's stock show. It's Villarreal's Ice House in Firewood. They're located at 18508 Bandera Road in Helotes. We stack it deep and we sell it cheap. So reach out to them if you're needing some firewood. There's still going to be a little cold weather still, so Villarreal's Ice House, thank you for sponsoring the Walter Gerlach Show this year.
Second call for first and second place in the lightweight and medium weight division.
You want to? That's perfect. All right. How's your dad doing?
Man, you're on top of this. You must be going to tech or a good school, not that A&M thing.
I need entries for Lillian Stegner, Haley Henning,
Really?
Renee McLean, out of East Alabama.
Right.
Tell him hello.
I will,
Need
sir.
your entries from yesterday, bring them up to the holding area.
Well, another really nice class. I think this is our last class in our heavyweight division. Let's give all the kids in this class a big round of applause. We're going to go ahead and let these guys over here on the wall go ahead and go back to their pins. Thanks. Great job, guys. In this class, I thought things sorted out pretty good. There's not, again, maybe that goat that just, great job. Maybe that goat that just jumps out as far as having all the pieces. Good job. But for me, a group of 4 here that I think come to the top pretty nicely. Just things that I still maybe like to change about each goat. The 2 goats here on the, good job, girls. The 2 goats here on the end, you know, my biggest, I guess, pet peeve about them is they're both real steep hip goats. They're both goats that I like to level up in terms of their structure. They're pretty similar in their type and their kind. I thought when the young man came out, he was an easy winner because I love him with that 4 rib. I love that boldness that he has right there in the center of his body. That's what I'm going to try to hang my hat all day in terms of what we're doing. You say, well, you fell off your pattern there. You didn't use that biggest, boldest front goat. But when we set him into motion, I just need him to be better off those rear wheels. He wants to get really steeper in his hips. He just really plays out there a little lower. Whereas the young lady that I choose to lead the class off with, here's a goat that is thicker and he's deeper twisting. It's just got more muscle from end to end, and I like that about him. Is he quite as opened up to his floor as our second place goat? Probably not. Is she just playing him and get that look that I get out of the young man's goat? Probably not. But I really like the condition he's in. I think he's really fresh to the touch. I think he's really got a lot of muscle there. I like to level him up a touch again. I think better in his hip. But I like the power that he has. Nice set there on the top end. Here's one that I thought could win the class for a little while too. I really like his 4 rib shape. I really like his hip touch better. I like to open him up in his spin set a little bit better there. When you get your hands on him, he doesn't like to be touched much. When you do get your hands on him, he's just a little soft. He just doesn't handle as firm. And it's good to the touch. Maybe as those guys right ahead of him. Maybe like to make him just a touch better off those rear wheels and he tracks away from us as well. And the only lady I thought needed to be in the top here in this 4th place goat. Here's one that's doesn't have quite the condition. Maybe the goat's right ahead of him. In terms of frame, in terms of overall structural design, I think he's really nice. I think he's the biggest hip. I think he's the biggest out through his pin set. Just maybe not quite as much muscle in that lower third of his body as those guys right ahead of him. Real nice hip from top to bottom. Let's give all the kids in this class a big round of applause.
Thank you, Judge Wallace. Placing in Class 3 heavyweight commercial goats. First place, Olivia Floyd. Second place, Josh Springer. Third place, Hope Betts. Fourth place, Hannah Tarkelson. Fifth place, Lily Boudreau. Sixth place, Amanda Pesic. Seventh place, Aubrey Smith. Eighth place, Heather Jessic. Ninth place, Morgan Casillas. 10th place, Kaylin Carlson. We're judging now for the champion of the heavyweight commercial goat division.
I'm good.
I'd like to remind all exhibitors not to leave until you have a final disposition on your animal. Meet with Mr. Strickland up on top of
So you're not a goat?
the show barn here where the lamb barn is.
Only lamb?
They'll be placing your animals in certain pens up there, so make sure you check with Mr. Strickland before you leave.
give all 6 of these a big round of applause. Really nice stuff. We are first and second place goes out of our heavyweight classes today, so we're going to pick a grand and reserve grand heavyweight to come back and compete for overall grand champion today in just a moment. I thought the pair of goats out of that first class, both they come out and they pair up pretty nice. They're both real attractive goats, real nice on the profile. Maybe not the most opened up and pulled apart in terms of that rib shape, just right from the ground up, being really square made. But again, goats that have a lot of look and some shape and power to go with it. Similar in the next class, the little goat that we chose to lead the class off with, he's one that when you set him into motion, he's really pretty wide and square from the ground up. And he combines that with a lot of look, and you like that about him. You know, he's certainly got a greener look to him out here in this group of heavyweight goats. He's not quite as far along in terms of stage of development. He's definitely not quite as just overall powerful maybe as those goats right behind him. But I think a goat that combines a lot of look and a lot of width from the ground up. And then the heavyweight classes, that last class, I think we undoubtedly have the 2 heaviest muscled goats. So they're the 2 heaviest weight goats as well. But I think they're certainly thicker than those goats in front of them, and you like that about them. Muscle is meat, and meat is money in terms of the goat world. You love that about them. Structurally, we said that both of these goats, I'd like to level them up in their hip and touch. Neither of them are my favorites right there out of their pin set when you study them walking away from you. But I think they both got a ton of muscle, and I think they're really opened up good there as well. So a tough decision to go as we pick our champion heavyweights. To me, our young lady with the last class is going to be our champion heavyweight. Congratulations to her. We're going to follow up her up with the young man in the second in that class.
Placing champion heavyweight is Olivia Floyd. Reserve champion heavyweight is Josh Springer. Exhibiting the lightweight division is Lillian Stagner. Medium weight division is Lene McLean. Heavyweight division is Olivia Floyd. Reserve in the lightweight is Haley Hennig. Reserve in the medium weight is Anais Galvan. Reserve in the heavyweight division is Josh Springer.
They need a flip.
First call for lightweight open goat. Lightweight open goats.
Lots of fun sorting through all these commercial goats, and I think I mentioned at the beginning that I understand it's a draw, and you don't necessarily get to pick your goat or go out and purchase it like you would in the open show in different places. So I understand that, and I know sometimes you get a bad draw, and sometimes maybe you get a good draw. As I'm judging today, I'm not necessarily trying to see who did the best job of feeding. I'm trying to judge the goats on what I like, and so that may or may not be fair to you at times. I understand, but hopefully, no matter what goat you had, that you were able to kind of make him into as good of a market goat as you were able to, and you want to make him thick and powerful. You want to make him good on his feet and his legs. A lot of that is genetic, certainly. You want to make him handle good, where he's fresh to the touch and looks good for the judge. And then part of it does come into showmanship and being able to get him presented and shown well in a good way. I think all 6 of these did a phenomenal job. I think they're really nice. I don't know that we set quite that pattern that ideally I love when we bring them back out for the championship drive. I like for them to really look similar. And I don't know, to me, they may not look quite as similar as I was hoping. But again, I think that's partly because of the commercial aspect and the fact that they're all kind of, a lot of those differences to begin with. I think the 2 little lightweights do fit what I'm looking for. I think they're big on their corners. I think they got big forearms in them. They're really shapely. They look like goats. They look like really good athletic little goats, and that's what I like. And I think they're both real nice. I think they're both in contention in terms of our overall grand champion. I think compared to the goats behind them, are they quite as long as extended? Certainly not. Are they? Obviously, they're not as big and they're type of their kind. But I think they're both really good right through the center of their body. And I think the little champion is just really neat in his overall look and design. I guess the thing I'm changing him up, compared to these bigger guys, he probably doesn't carry that twist down as deep from behind. He's certainly, again, not as extended in his overall look and design as a couple of these behind him, but I think he's a neat little guy. We get into our middleweights, and I thought that class that these 2 came out of was just ultra tough, and that division was really stout as well. I thought the young ladies go one pretty soundly, and I guess my reason on that yesterday, I mentioned that he probably isn't quite my type. He's a little different than those 2 little lightweights that we just described. He's a little more lammy is what we said. He's a little bit more picked up in the front end of his skeleton. We set him into motion. He doesn't quite have that inner body maybe that I wish he had. But why is he the champion in that super tough division? Because he's just chock full of muscle. You get your hands on this guy and he is great right out of the top of his rack. Big old loin in him. the biggest hip in the drive, and then undoubtedly the deepest, thickest twisted goat. You set him into motion, and again, he's not quite as cool right to the center of the body as the two little guys or the goat right behind him, but he's still good from the ground up. He's still big in terms of his overall bone work, and you gotta love that length of body and that extension that he combines with all that meat and muscle. I think he's an awfully good one, and certainly in contention as well. The young lady's goat in reserve, I said, does kind of fit that same mold. I think he should look a lot like those two little lightweight goats, really big on his corners, big hips, really shapely. You know, we mentioned he's got a little extra middle, a little extra gut to him there. That throws off his look maybe a touch. I wish he was a little deeper twisted compared to our champion, but he's a goat I sure like a lot and fits me to a T. The two goats out of our heavyweight division, you know, I thought when we got that drive going in that class, they're just big, heavy muscle, thick goats, and I like that about them. Structurally, I think both of them aren't quite as good right out of their hip as the goats right ahead of them. And that, when you set them into motion, you kind of see that even more. They want to hawk in and not be as good there, not as big out on the corners when they're out traveling in motion. But boy, they both got a lot of muscle from end to end. And you get them out here, they still have a lot of look, maybe more so than those lighter weight goats, and you like that about them as well. So I know you guys want me to pick a champion. I'm going to do so at this time. I've just been announcing it from the mic, but I think I'm going to go out this time. I'm going to shake the hand of our grand champion, commercial market goat exhibitor, and then we'll pull up the second place, the reserve out of that division. We'll pick a reserve champion. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Rob is on the champion to go today.
Grand champion goes to Lene McLean. Second call for open goat lightweights. Second call. Bring them on up. As we excuse gentlemen on the outside ring, let's give them a big round of applause for their participation.
bring your two over. Go ahead and do that. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I take too long. Sometimes I may go too fast. In showmanship, I certainly could have asked more questions. We could have done some more drills here. I try to base most. If I'm going to judge the show and I'm going to do the showmanship, I'm going to try my best to base what I saw throughout the show on what I'm going to do whenever we get in the show ring. Now, that in the showmanship class, that doesn't always work because sometimes things change, and the kiddo that I thought did lights out good in their class maybe doesn't do as good when we bring them back out, and vice versa. But for the most part, I had the privilege of getting to choose the kids to come back, and then I got to sort through. I thought that all the kids did a really good job in here. For the most part, I know we still have the seniors to go. But showmanship is pretty simple. I think we want them big on their corners. I think we want that neck coming straight out of the top of their shoulder. I think we want to show them off on the walk. And I think we want that goat to act the way we need him to. We need him to perform as one with us. We need him to look good at all times when that judge is coming up. We need it to be comfortable on him. Yeah, he's got to be extended. You've got to be really showing him off. So, you know, I don't know if you can sort through with me as far as my exact placings. I tried to tell every kiddo. I maybe didn't tell these top 6 here exactly what I thought on each of them. But those basic things that I just said is what I thought they did really well, okay? I thought everybody gets their goat braced. I thought they get it shown really well. They're showing big on their corners. And there's some differences in terms of how maybe they react for them and acted at times. Sometimes a little kid and a big goat's a bad combination, but I thought these guys were lights out good. Now, I did make one fatal error here as far as judges go. I was told we had 5 ribbons for these showmanship winners, and I brought out 6 kiddos, so you're going to get a kudos for being 6, okay? Everybody else, I think, gets a fancy blue ribbon. Congratulations to you. And then young lady in black, we're going to give her a belt buckle for her accomplishments today. All right, thank you so much for coming out. Great job.
Your junior champion is Kaylee Truss. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay, for you spectators in the stands, we've got, looks like 36 showmen, or exhibitors in the showmanship class. We're going to bring in 18 at a time. The judge will pick out whatever he wants out of that, put them on the rail, excuse the rest, and then bring in the other 18. And then pick some out of there, and then he'll combine the two groups and pick his showman out of the final group. Our junior showmanship winner, Kane Truss, will receive a belt buckle donated by Grass is Greener, Mike and Nikki Brown. Okay, we'll excuse the exhibitors on the outside rail. Let's give them a big round of applause as they exit the arena. As we excuse the exhibitors on the outside rail, let's give them a big round of applause.
going to conclude my job today, and what a way to do it. This is a great set. Fantastic. I know our crowd's not real big today, but I compliment you on everything you've had today. I knew it'd be fantastic. I've been around a while and know that the O'Connor and Helotes 4-H, all your program is fantastic in terms of the GO program. And it's because of your leaders and the kids you've had and your teachers, and I compliment you on all that. So again, I don't necessarily have to tell you how good your goats are. I don't think I have to tell you how good your kids are either. They're lights out good, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. If you want to sort these out different again, I can't disagree with you at all. If you think I should have asked some knowledge questions and decided who's the most knowledgeable, that's fine. I won't disagree with that at all either. I guess my philosophy on showmanship, I want the kiddo that I'm going to send out there with it. I've got this rip roaring good goat, and I need somebody to show it, and I want to get the one who's going to get it done to the best of their ability. Now, it doesn't matter how much that kiddo has worked with that goat. Certainly it does. I told quite a few of these that did a really good job in the senior drive. Their goat just didn't react to it with them quite as well as I thought several of these did. So we had a big group. There were a lot of really good ones that went through. There's a really good set over on the far wall. This is my top 5 here today. Again, I think it's extremely close, and I'm not necessarily going to go through those differences with you. The big thing on these seniors is I want that foot placement. They all stand there. They look good. They've got their brace going. They've got their head up. Some of us get our nose a little too high. I personally prefer his nose not to be pointing up. I want his nose down, but you got to keep that front end extended and up, keep him up, and really looking good to that front third of his body, but then you got to keep him big on his corners. And that was the issue with most of the ones around the wall earlier, was maybe we just didn't have those feet big and wide and square on their corners. And some goes do that a little bit more naturally than others do. But these kids are fantastic. Again, I try to weigh in how they show them on the walk, because they got to get them to look impressive when they're on the move. How do they handle for me whenever they get them set on the brace. And if I haven't expressed it enough, I'm super impressed today with everything, but probably most importantly your showmanship skills. So it was a great job. We're going to go first place on my right and 5th place here on my left. Let's give all the kids in the ring a big round of applause. They did a fantastic job.
Senior showman is Reagan Frick. She'll receive a buckle donated by the Duane family, Ernie and Debbie Duane. That concludes our show for today for the goats. We thank everybody for their attendance. Exhibitors, do not forget to load your goat out before you leave. Make sure your ag teacher or your 4-H leader knows what your disposition is for your animal, whether you're selling and which one you are selling.